Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Push to Pass F1 podcast. Once again, we are sorry for missing a week out of the usual weekly schedule. We've both been really busy as we are back in the thick of university from, well, really this week. And last week we were both out on placement, so it's quite hard to squeeze a video in, so we do apologise. But we are back once again. Once again, I'm joined by the wonderful Reef. How are you, my friend?
Not bad, mate. Feeling a bit under the weather, but nothing stops the pod. So
Yeah, Reef's
let's
got
keep the wheels turning.
the typical back to uni illness. So it is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix this weekend at one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. What's your thoughts on Baku?
Yeah, I like Baku. It's a good modern day F1 track. Plenty of long straights, but it's also got the tight, twisty bits like the castle section that are not everyday things that you see. So it keeps it interesting.
Don't mean to ruin your weekend, but I think it might rain.
Oh well, I won't be watching then.
I think I saw it might rain on the Sunday. But yeah, Baku is. Ooh, I'd probably say it's the second best street circuit.
What's your favourite?
Montreal.
Yes.
I'd probably say Canada just edges it. That's probably a
Yeah.
bit of also like being a bit older biased because we haven't had Baku nearly as long as we have had Canada. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and it usually brings up a fair few surprises from just like random midfield teams getting a podium or Lewis Hamilton for getting out a break.
Yeah, there's been loads of moments through the years, hasn't there? Like so many iconic drama bits, like obviously like Max and Ricardo that one year.
Max in the wall with puncture.
Lewis forgetting how to brake.
That was funny. Well, last year there was Sainz and Perez killed each other, didn't they?
Yes.
And
No, there's
Jochen,
been I mean, Lance Stroll podium there, I think, with the
yeah, that was
Williams. 17?
2017
Yeah.
when Lewis and Seb drove into each other and Lewis's headrest came loose. That race had literally everything. Thinking about it, there was the Charles Leclerc in the castle section. I am stupid.
Yeah.
But before we go into Baku, because there is some news from the last race weekend which we didn't talk about. So it'd be good to talk about now because it is coming back into the limelight again with F1 being back. McLaren and their very interesting papaya rules. So if you didn't pay attention to the Italian Grand Prix, basically McLaren have come under fire for team orders relating to Oscar Piastri letting Lando Norris past after Lando had a slower pit stop. And it's sort of become a bit of a meme now. I think we can quite easily label it as.
I don't really see how you can want that as a sports fan. That is like near as enough as rigging the sport for me, in my opinion. I mean, there's so many problems with what they're doing. I think with this whole papaya rules, I don't even think it makes sense from a McLaren standpoint. Never mind like a wider circle standpoint, but they keep referring to it and they keep continuing to do it, and I just think it's ridiculous.
I think they're still trying to play happy families when that's not gone, but it's getting towards the business end of a championship now. And I get what I think they're just trying to give it as an equal playing field as they can, where they give both drivers equal chances. But also, I just think that is kind of the softest way of doing it. Because my thing with it, and I made a tweet about this, and I think it was Will Buxton who made one as well. Lando offered the undercut to Oscar, which made zero sense to me, because surely you wouldn't give that to your championship rival. Never mind if he was your teammate. Lando's always running that risk. But why should Oscar give up championship points for something that he didn't do, and for something that was not Lando's fault, but Lando had the option to pretty much deny it from happening?
Well, I think there's been quite a few shouts that the reason why Lando let Oscar pit first was because he was hoping for a safety car.
Yeah,
So
that's the other thing.
it seemed like a nice move to do, but realistically it might have had ill intentions behind it. But I just think stuff happens in a championship season, like the week before with Lando's car. Like nothing could be predicted, and then I saw a scenario which was, say if next race Lando's car breaks again, is Oscar supposed to pull over in solidarity? Like,
I saw all them. It's like, Oscar, Lando's hit the wall. Can you do the same, please? We think it's fair.
it's like, no, but using the same logic.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously that is to a very extreme degree, but in principle that is the exact same logic. Yeah, okay, it is McLaren basically toying with the rest of the field at this point. They know that they've got the constructors in the bag, and they know that one of their drivers is going to win the title. But just let racing be racing. It didn't fall Lando's way. Oscar profits. There'll be times in later races where it'll be the other way around. That's just the way that racing is. Like, think about it from a standpoint of, imagine someone had placed a bet, and their bet was that Max was going to win the race, Oscar was going to finish P2, and Lando would be P3. And then McLaren do that switch.
You'd be fuming.
That's what I mean. It's like rigging a race.
It's also brought the conversation back up around team orders and whether they are not. The problem I find with team orders is I think team orders is fine unless it's from a direct performance point of view.
What do you mean by performance
So,
point of view?
say if like you had, because if you got rid of team orders, what you're pretty much saying is you're not allowed to tell your driver to do something in order for your other driver to gain a position. But say if that had happened and Oscar had come out with Lando behind him, but then Oscar runs wide and damages his floor, so Lando's automatically going to be quicker than him. If you're removing team orders, you can't then tell Oscar, you are the slower car, can you make it easier for Lando? Like, if that was in a midfield sort of position, it's a unique position with the McLarens because how far ahead they were of everyone else. But say if that was a midfield position where you are like 1 second between cars, bumper to bumper, you are removing the ability for a team to gain an advantage by giving those orders. But it's just, I'm so bored of teams going, yeah, but he had a slower stop, or yeah, but he did this for you 17 races ago, so like repay the favour. Because that's the other thing they've been mentioning too, is Hungary last year, isn't it?
Yes, which, I mean, how you can reference something from a whole different season to me is laughable. But anyway, my opinion of team orders is, I think they're okay. Team orders are understandable. There's a lot of money in F1. Say if you've got a clear hierarchy, you've got a number one, you've got a number two driver, it makes sense. But you can't have team orders when you've got both your drivers fighting for a world title. Team orders should be out the window. There should be an imaginary brick wall between the garages, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If it was me and it was my F1 and I was making the rules, I wouldn't even allow data sharing for two title rivals. That's just me, because I want to see.
That could actually be quite they could implement that, but you'd have to probably do it within like the top 4 teams, wouldn't you?
I'm being very extreme here. I don't actually think that this would happen, because this would be.
No.
I mean, the teams would kick off first of all, because that's very hard. But I'm saying, when I'm watching a championship battle, I want the best driver to win.
Yeah, I don't want a championship to be decided by pity points or being a team player.
And we will, close this conversation soon and move on. But I just want to say that I don't think this is going to affect Oscar too much. I still think he is going to win the championship by some margin. But imagine if the championship came down to a few points, and this would be the reference that you talk about. This lost Oscar the title, or this won Lando the title. It'd discredit the whole season. And that would be an absolute nightmare for everyone involved.
I think if it happens one more time, I think one of them might snap and just be like, no.
I think one of them needs to.
Yeah, that's what I was literally just about to say. I think that's almost what the situation needs, because then McLaren can go, well, gloves are off. Like, one of the biggest reference points people brought it back to was Lewis and Nico back in 2016, and it's probably a completely different situation in the sense of the relationship they had was very different to what Oscar and Lando had. But even if you look back at that season, like the title decider, Lewis was practically trying to back Nico into about 4 or 5 different cars. And if you did that at McLaren, they'd probably get cancelled, and people would be like, oh my god, it's so unfair on Lando because he did this in 2013. It's just like,
Yeah.
I hate the... And this is going to sound really like back in my day, but F1 has gone so soft.
Yes, I think so. I mean, it'll never be as tough and rugged, like, the 90s and 80s and stuff when we weren't around. Like, I think it used to be a hardcore sport, and it still is to a degree because there is so much risk. Like, even now, every time they get in the car, there is an element of risk, and that's why everyone enjoys it. But it's so censored now, and I just think there is jeopardy. Like, the jeopardy is every single corner someone could spin out, and like, every single lap there's a championship that like hangs in the balance. But when you've got the two main characters of this season going at it and swapping positions for each other, it almost gets rid of all the jeopardy, because you just think they've got that much control over the situation that I'm just like, it's, to me, it seems like now, because I mean, McLaren have such a like clear as day advantage over the rest of the field. I mean, I know Max won last weekend, but that's more down to his sort
Max
of
being Max
talent, and the championship is done either way. So to me now, McLaren, their idea would be they just take it in turns who wins each week.
Well, the big thing for me this weekend is McLaren can mathematically win the constructors this weekend. So at that point, then I don't think they can argue anymore about they're doing the best for the team. I think then they literally just have to go do what you two think you need to do. Ideally, don't crash into each other, because it's gonna, that then you come into like the financial part of things and all that, blah blah blah. But I think they literally just need to go, you two race, but you race fairly, and we won't get involved. And then it is the case of best man wins.
I really hope, this is my last thing from me, I really hope that after last weekend, probably Oscar because he's the one who did the favour, but either one of them went aside and said, I was happy to do that today, but make that the last time. I really hope there's just a blank slate now, and no one expects that again.
I was going to pose an interesting question to you. Say if this does happen again, and say if it happens like another 2 times, could you see one of them walking?
What, leaving the team?
Yeah.
To be honest, I've been thinking about this quite a lot, and I think that's written in the stars anyway.
I think more Oscar is destined to go to like a Red Bull or something.
I just think the way that the driver market is going to play out, either way. I mean, it all hangs in the balance of one man, potentially 2, but one man. It depends what Max Verstappen does in the next 2 years.
Yeah, and we will talk about his teammate situation.
And on a side note, if it's not Max, it'll be Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, he actually commented today about his commitment to Ferrari. I'll try find the quote now. But
while you find that, I'll talk about the McLaren relationship again. I think they do get on, the two of them, but when you've got 2 young people who have only ever raced cars, this has been their ambition, this is their dream, and they're so close to their dream, they're never going to be friends. And the fact that McLaren are trying to force it is almost cringe, because everyone knows that they're not really. I mean,
no.
Yeah, they might get on with each other and they might tolerate each other, but like everyone knows if it's between them, their relationship or a championship, both of them are picking a championship.
Well, I'm like, even if you look, the best probably way you could compare it outside of a title fight, outside of like a Lewis Rosberg, the best you could probably compare it is Max and Daniel, in the sense of you could tell they were friends, but on track they weren't afraid to hate each other. And like even Red Bull weren't afraid to be like, oh, be nice. They would literally just be like, you two, when they crashed in Baku, I can remember everyone was like, well, you two have made the mistake, that's your fault, it's nothing to do with us.
Yeah, and you assess that relationship, and Daniel ended up leaving because someone is going to get their nose pushed out. But the interesting thing is, Red Bull sided with the one who had more talent, which is the smart thing to do. I'm not necessarily sure McLaren will be doing that.
I'm not either, because of how I see Lando as their Charles Leclerc to Ferrari, as their like Kimi to Mercedes. I see him as
Well, he's
their poster boy, isn't he?
he's a modern day Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah,
When I say that, I mean they picked him up very young.
academy product.
Yeah, he's always driven for McLaren. Which, that's their opinion. Lando Norris has enough talent to win the championship. He does. But if you were to ask me 10 out of 10 times who the better driver is between him and Oscar Piastri, I'd pick Oscar Piastri 10 times.
Well, we said about the chips in the drive market potentially falling one way. Charles Leclerc today spoke about his commitment to Ferrari. He said, "I've always loved Ferrari, and that's where I draw my motivation from, because I want to bring Ferrari to the top, no matter how long it takes." So basically, that's me. How, I don't know, you read into it. How I've read into it is he doesn't want to move. He still wants that dream of Ferrari World Championship, Charles Leclerc, which will never happen.
That's him
residing.
Well, it's his stating his commitment to Ferrari, but I almost see that as one day his loyalty might bite him, because this is even though I'm sure Ferrari love Charles and there's no one better they could get right now, they could bin him before he bins them.
I also see it as he could potentially be like, look, I'm giving you this back and deliver me a car. Because then if he could give them that and say, look, I'm willing to sign X amount of contract extensions, but if I'm getting to the point where I'm 33, 34 and you still haven't delivered me a world title winning car, I'm off.
Yeah. By the which point I'd argue that it would be too late anyway. But
I think it borderline might be too late now.
Well, I think he's got
controversial.
The next 2 years. As I say, it all falls on one man, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's Max.
Yeah, let's talk about Max's teammate. Apparently, Isaac Hadjar is not confirmed, but it's looking likely that he will be in the Red Bull from next year, which will see Arvid Lindblad go up to VCARB, and then either Sonoda or Lawson will fill in the other seat. And then that is also strengthened by the fact Nicholas Solov has joined F2, which nobody likes to see because nobody wants to see Isaac Hadjar on a Red Bull because it might ruin his career.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was expected. I mean, everyone kind of hoped that Red Bull might have learnt their lesson, because I mean they have tried this exact strategy about 4 times now. With we'll send the junior driver up. They've been so good in the second car, and it's not worked. And I don't expect it to work again. I think Hadjar's a great talent, but as of yet, he hasn't shown any more talent than an Albon has or a Gasly had. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. He hasn't delivered the raw hype we had with like Max.
I don't look at him and go, yeah, he's that good that he could drive around the car.
My thing with Red Bull is, I think even you could look at someone who is like an upper midfield driver and go, do you know what, he will survive there. But I think they need to be looking at a driver and going, do I see you winning a world championship? Because even if you aren't going to win that title because of how good Max is, if you can deliver a championship winning season, if you took Max out the occasion, that's guaranteed to finish, second, third, fourth in a championship, which alongside Max would deliver them a Constructors, which they haven't had.
Yeah, but from what you've just said, you're saying that they should take a punt on someone who's going to win them a world championship.
I know who. I've got a strong feeling of who they should go for, but they won't.
In that case, because to me, there's no one on the grid right now that would be in the position of going to a second seat at Red Bull that could deliver them a championship one day, other than Hadjar. So it makes sense that maybe on the off chance it works. But if I was Red Bull, I'd be doing something completely different, and I just want a solid second driver next to Max. A bit like what they did with Checo Perez. And although that did turn sour, you've got to remember, Sergio Perez won like 6 races for Red Bull. It wasn't all bad.
There was also a period where people genuinely thought Sergio Perez could be a title threat to Max in like 2022.
What was it, 2022 was it? First 7-8 races?
Yeah, when he was really good at the street circuits, wasn't he? Yeah. Like he won like Baku, Jeddah and stuff.
Yeah. So I think they should be they should have done that. Looks like they're not going to. But someone like, I mean, I am just plucking a name out, but someone like Ocon. Do you get what I mean? Just someone who knows
You
F1, been in
you
F1 a
lit.
very long time.
Well, my slightly controversial, and it definitely wouldn't happen, but I think it should have, is I think they should have gone and got like a Gasly.
I don't know whether that would be,
That's
because
my.
you've got to think
I
if Gasly would want to do that.
Yeah, that was my other thing. I was thinking like, well, finally we're on about this. Who was on about Gunther Steiner on his podcast that he does? He was speaking about Kimi Antonelli, and he said for next year Antonelli and Albon should swap.
Interesting. I don't know if they can do that, can they? I mean, I know they're like both Mercedes power units, but they're not actually tied together.
No, I think the other thing which you would sort of say is that they probably won't be direct competitors, but you're expecting Williams next year to probably be in and around the top 4, top 5.
I think that's a fair assessment. I can see what he means by that, as in keep Antonelli in F1, but they're almost kind of deserving of those opportunities, aren't they? Like, it would be great for Albon to step up and show more of his talent, and then Kimi could take a step back for a year and just kind of regroup and
learn.
I think that's a beautiful spot in F1, when you're good enough to over deliver in a mediocre car. I think that's the best position for a driver to be in.
It's that driver academy graduate in it. Like, it's like a Bortoletto seat. You have expectations, but they're not the expectations of a Mercedes, of a Red Bull, of a Ferrari. You have that freedom where you can make mistakes, but also when you deliver a performance, it looks that much better.
I'd say Albon's in that beautiful point of his career now, and has been for about a year and a half, where public perception of the Williams... Because, to be honest, I still think the Williams' potential is quite untapped. Like, I don't think there's not a ceiling on it yet. I think they could grow more, but he brings home like anywhere from a 4th to a 10th place, as long as he's in the points, and everyone looks at it and goes, "Oh, good drive from Albon."
Yeah, I think he's just
one of those.
I think, like, you hit the nail on the head, really. He is in that sweet spot. Quite an interesting fact. I'm just trying to get this up. I think he is now the 3rd most race starts for Williams. Only behind Nigel. Yeah, only behind Nigel Mansell and Ralf Schumacher. He's on 82.
That is shocking.
I thought that.
Really?
He's overtaken Rosberg, Bottas, Massa, and Riccardo Patrese in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 82 race starts.
How many did George have then? It's got to be around 60 odd. Was it? It's 3 seasons at
George did 2019 to 2022. So no, he would have had
19, 20, 1 and 2.
Yeah, so he would have had 19 was 20. 2020 was only 16 or 17, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he would have had about
he must be up
50,
there,
60.
Yeah.
But yeah, that came up my LinkedIn the other day, and I was really shocked by that. But I think Albon is one of those. He is like a Ocon. He'll be in the sport for like another 10 years probably.
Yeah, he's just
he's a steady pair of hands, isn't he?
Yeah.
Right, Baku prediction time. I love the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's one I actually really want to go to. I will give it that. Because it's got...
Yeah, I mean, Azerbaijan as a country, I don't know much about.
I saw a woman do a TikTok about, I should have noted the name. She did, I think she went to it last year, and she said, like, the actual city on a race day there's lots you can do, and it's quite affordable.
I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if it was relatively cheap, because...
Also, speaking about affordable, Silverstone, I'm coming for you lot.
How much is it this year?
Well, the actual season, at the time of calling this, I don't think the actual tickets have gone on sale. There's only been a pre-sale if you were with American Express, and they do the dynamic pricing, so they release the prices, and then by the time that pre-sale was done, they'd gone up by 140 quid per person.
That's, oh my god. Money grabbing, that's terrible.
Awful. Sort it out. We will go for free, though, if you want to. If anyone wants to send us
yeah. Let's not speak badly about it because we're decreasing the chances of our podcast with 10 subscribers to get a brand deal.
Right, predictions. It's not a sprint weekend. Oh, also, there has been sprint weekends for next year announced, but I think we spoke about that months ago because it got leaked. Where is F1? Let me just double check. I don't think it is. I don't think Baku's ever been a sprint weekend, actually. Oh, no, it was. I think it was last year because it was when Max and George had a barmy. The race is on at 12. Brother, they're 3 hours ahead in Azerbaijan. Well, they don't know that. Right, give me a top 3 prediction. There is an obvious person you could put on pole. If you wanted to look at history.
Oh, right. Nah, I'm not going to go for that.
Couldn't do it again, could he?
I think Norris will be on pole.
Will you? Bold you to assume.
Yeah, shock.
Actually, to be fair, if Oscar sets the fastest lap, they might tell him to retire.
Yeah, well. I think Piastri P2 and then Charles P3. Why not?
I think Lando P3, Oscar P2, Max P1.
Fair.
I think Red Bull are going to run their stupidly skinny wing again and just run away.
I did think about that. As soon as I said Charles P3, I was like...
They've also got a new floor, which they ran in Monza, which apparently very much helped their performance.
Interesting.
So, yeah. And also it's Max. He tends to do decently around Baku. Race predictions. I will go with... Because I think the Red Bull actually looks like a pretty decent car now.
Strange how one race weekend can, like, differ your opinion.
I know. I don't know if they... I think the other thing is, I think the other teams have stopped developing. And I think they've just sort of gone, we may as well extract the most from this year as we can. But I'll go with Max P3. Max P3, I'll go Lando P2, Oscar P1. I'll back Oscar to have a win.
Okay. I think I'll go Oscar P1.
Copycat.
Lando P2. Max P3.
To go for the exact same... Yep, right.
It makes the most sense.
Give me a biggest good surprise.
It's hard to say because, as you say, like Baku can throw all sorts out.
I'm just going to pull one out. I'm going to go with Williams because their car is usually a rock. Because their car is usually a rocket ship.
Yeah, that is true. That's a good point.
But also, Sainz is driving, so he might forget.
How did Sainz get on?
I think
Grand Prix.
I'm pretty sure he got knocked out in Q2 or Q1. He's having a little bit of a stinker.
Good surprise.
And Carlos Sainz last weekend finished 11th, and he qualified in a grand total of 13th. So he didn't actually do bad.
I think good surprise. We'll go with a Bortoletto. Go back on his hype
the
train.
old reliable.
Yeah.
Biggest worst surprise in terms of performance, I'm gonna go with Mercedes.
Yeah. Okay.
They're just
Why?
a bit of enough. Because they're just a nothing team at this point, in my eyes.
Harsh.
Well, I think they are not... I think we're falling back into what we saw at the start of the year, where it was the two McLarens, Max, and then a big old gap towards like a Mercedes or a Ferrari. And Ferrari, I just have no hope at all to be anywhere near anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sensible to not put any kind of wishes on Ferrari or have any hope. I agree with that.
That's why I didn't bother putting them as a bad surprise, because it can't get much worse, can it?
I think is it a surprise? I don't know. You can be the judge, but I just think the Haas will have like no pace. I think there'll be like you're saying, there'll be a huge discrepancy between the teams. I've got a feeling this Grand Prix might be a bit of a snooze fest.
Yeah, I'm also thinking that. I think it needs a bit of. We need drama. I think if it rains, that'll be very interesting.
If they let them race in the rain, yeah.
They won't, because it's a street circuit, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, people's balconies are getting wet." Can you imagine doing that castle section in the
wet tyres? Like, that'd be great. But okay.
No, they're not allowed to do that, my friend. Unfortunately. Random surprise. I will go with we finish with less than 15 runners.
It's a good shout if it's wet. That's a good one. Random surprise. I don't know. That's good, isn't it? Good analysis.
The F2 race to get cancelled.
Is it F2 this weekend?
It should be. F2 usually at Baku. Because
F3... I had a bit of a jump scare. Like, F3's done, isn't it, already?
Yeah. F2 racing at Baku. Yeah, F3's already... yeah, they are. There's round 12 of the 2025 Formula 2 campaign. Yeah, F3's already decided. I can't remember who won F3. F3 2025. I think it was a Ferrari Academy driver. No, not championship. Champion. Rafael Camara.
Yes. I remember seeing that now.
That is all we have time for today on the Push to Pass F1 podcast. This has been our Baku Grand Prix preview and a slight review of the news we've had in the past 2 weeks before our last episode. If you have been listening on Spotify, don't forget to drop us a follow and a 5-star rating. It massively helps. If you're listening on YouTube, don't forget to drop us a like and a subscribe. It is hugely appreciated. I have once again been Max.
I've been Reef.
And this has been the Push to Pass F1 podcast.